Chapter 7. Your mother was there. Maelin of the choir deep was your mother. The words did not echo, they should have. The gates of bone and void stood open behind Orren. The river breathed somewhere beyond the bank, and the cavern held enough hollow dark to throw any sound back changed. But Iren's sentence did not travel. It entered Orren and stayed there. Maelin, mother, the torn wing in the sand, her hand on his face, his hands on her body. No. Orren looked at Iren and waited for the correction. There would be one. There had to be one. A quick little turn of the mouth. A god's trick. A cruel lesson. One of Iren's narrow truths, dressed to cut a different way. The road wing only looked back. No smile. No escape. Orren's legs moved before he knew he had given them the order. He crossed the small space between them and struck Iren across the mouth. The blow was bad. His wounded arm did not obey, and his good hand was clumsy with exhaustion. It landed more with the heel of the palm than the knuckles. Pain went up Orren's wrist and into his elbow. Iren's head turned a little, only a little. The god did not step back. That made it worse. Liar, Orren said. Blood ran from his own split lip. Or Iren's. He could not tell. There was blood in too many places. Iren lifted one hand to his mouth, touched the corner, looked at the stain on his thumb. Not this time. Orren hit him again, or tried. Iren caught his wrist before the second blow landed. Not hard, not hurting, only stopping it. Orren pulled against him, and his body shook with the effort. His knees nearly went. Iren let go. Orren staggered back. Say it is a trick. I cannot. You can. You say anything. That is untrue. You say half of everything. Yes. Then say the half that makes this false. Iren's face tightened. Behind Orren the gate breathed once. Tharos had withdrawn into the black, but the beast's presence still filled the space. Heat lingered on the ground, where the hungry head's tongue had dragged him. The chain marks smoked faintly in the ash-colored plain. The seam through the void waited. Evara was beyond. Evara was beyond. And Orren could not make his feet move. She was a monster, he said. Iren's eyes moved once toward the place where Maelin's song had faded. Sometimes. No, yes, no, Orren. Do not say my name. The words came out so sharp that his throat tore around them. He coughed, bent, spat red onto black sand. The red darkened and vanished, as if the ground were thirsty. Mother? The word moved inside him again. He wanted to cut it out. A mother was a thing other people had, or lied about having, or buried. A mother was a woman in a tavern song with warm hands and foolish advice. A mother was Mara shoving a bowl at him, and pretending she had not kept the thick part. A mother was an empty space at the beginning of his life, one he had learned not to ask about because no answer had ever come with bread. A mother was not a winged creature on a beach calling him my boy through blood. A mother was not something he had killed with his own hands. He looked down at them. The hands shook. He had washed them in sea, river, rain, road mist. Still pale down clung near one torn nail. A small red-brown vein in the feather fray caught the blue-white light from beyond the gate. Orren scraped at it with his thumb. It stuck. He scraped harder, until skin opened. Iren stepped forward. Stop. Orren laughed. It came out ragged and high, and nothing like laughter. Stop? Yes. Now? Iren said nothing. Orren shoved the hand toward him. She touched me. Yes. She called me that. Yes. And you knew. I suspected. The distinction struck him like spit. You suspected. I did not know until the gate. That makes it kinder? No. Cleaner? No. Then why say it? Because you asked whether I knew? No. Before, on the beach, on the road, at the fire, you knew enough. Iren looked away. There it was, the first honest wound in the god's face. Orren stepped toward him again, but the anger had nowhere to go now. His body had spent itself against Tharos and could not hold rage upright. His voice dropped. "You used it." Iren's jaw worked. "You used her song at the gate." "I did not call it." "You let me use it." "Yes." "You let me sing with her." "Yes." "You let me stand there, not knowing what she was." Iren looked back. Would knowing have helped? The question was soft. Orren hated him for it. He hated him because he did not know the answer. Would he have sung with her if he knew? Would he have refused and let Tharos take him? Would he have run? Would he have fallen on the sand and broken apart before ever reaching the gate? Would he have tried to apologize to a dead woman before he had the strength to save a dead woman he loved? "You had no right," Orren said. "No." The answer stopped him. Iren did not defend, did not laugh, did not slip sideways into cleverness. No, he took the word like a man accepting a cup he deserved to drink. Orren's eyes burned. "Why?" Iren rubbed the corner of his mouth again. It had stopped bleeding. Or perhaps gods did not bleed long enough to satisfy anyone. "Because if I told you on the beach, you would have walked back into the sea." Orren looked toward the river. The black-red water moved quietly, carrying names he could not read. "I almost did." "Yes." "You should have let me." "No." "You said roads were choices." "They are." "Then let me choose." "I did." Iren's voice sharpened, and for one breath he looked like something older than the boy face could hold. "Again and again I did. You chose the water. You chose the road. You chose the river. You chose the gate. You chose to sing. Do not mistake my silence for authorship of every step you took." Orren stared at him. The anger found one last spark. "You think this clears you?" "No," Iren said. "I think it makes us both less comfortable. That is usually where truth begins." The gate breathed again. From inside the seam of darkness came a draught that smelled nothing like the river. Dry stone, blue fire, dust that had never known sun, old cloth, old names. The faintest trace of bread cooling in a room where no one ate, and under it, the song. Volos's song. Low, patient, holding many voices inside one. Evara was beyond. The thought returned like a hand around his throat. Evara first, the rest later. He tried to step toward the gate. His body did not move. Maelin's face rose instead, not as she had first appeared. Winged, impossible, hair like wet copper, song moving around her. Not as the thing he had blamed, as she had been after. Sand on her cheek, blood at her mouth. Eyes moving over his face, as if she had found a shore she had been swimming toward for years. "Found you." Orren made a sound through his teeth. Iren watched him. "Do not tell me the whole of it," Orren said. "I had not planned to. No stories. No why she left. No why I never knew. No father, no old laws. No gods putting hands where they did not belong. Not now." Iren's face changed at father, only slightly. Enough. Orren saw it. The next question rose at once, sharp and starving. His father. Alive. Dead? God? Man? Monster? One more absence with teeth. He almost asked. "Evara," he thought, and held the question back so hard it shook him. "Later," he said. Iren's eyes narrowed. "That is a dangerous word. It is all I have." "No. You have a gate." Orren looked at the seam in the void. His body remembered the tongue around his ankle, the hot breath, the center head lowering, the right head breathing in his name, the left head's disappointment when he escaped the mouth. It also remembered Maelin's song carrying his own when his throat failed. Mother. He closed his eyes. No, later. He opened them and stepped through the seam. The void took sound first. The river vanished. Iren's breath vanished. The faint hiss of Tharos's chain vanished. Orren's own heartbeat vanished, though he felt it hammering in his chest. The world narrowed into black pressure on every side, as if he had stepped between two moments and neither wanted him. His foot found no ground, then ground. His other foot followed, because falling forward had become his most reliable form of courage. The black pressed against his skin, not cold, not warm, the absence of both. It touched the cut on his arm, the scrape in his throat, the raw places on his knees, and carried each pain away for one impossible instant. Relief. He reached for it. It withdrew. The pains returned all at once, crueler for the pause. Orren staggered. A hand gripped the back of his shirt. Iren. Of course he had followed. Careful, Iren said, though the words sounded as if spoken from the bottom of a well. I thought you could not cross for me. I crossed for me. You were blocking the way. Liar. Often the old answer should have annoyed him. It steadied him. A little they walked, or moved. It was difficult to tell. The void had no walls, but pressed like walls. No floor, but permitted steps. No air, but allowed breath. Once, Orren looked to the side, and saw his own face as a child, mouth open in song, then not a child at all, then only darkness. Another time he heard Evara say, I walked, as she had below deck, and his whole body turned toward it. Iren seized his jaw and forced his face forward. Not here. Orren knocked his hand away. Do not touch me. Then stop offering your face to hungry illusions. They sounded like her. Yes, that is why they are hungry. The darkness thinned. Blue-white light appeared ahead. Not daylight, not fire. The kind of light that lives under a door before dawn and makes a child think someone has stayed awake all night. They stepped out of the void into the last house. Orren's first thought was that death had better floors than most of Skeldron. Black stone stretched beneath his feet, smooth enough to hold a blurred reflection. He saw himself in it and wished he had not. One boot, one barefoot, salt-stiff clothes, blood-dark sleeve, hair clinging to his face, mouth swollen, eyes too bright. Behind him the void seemed closed without sound between two pillars of smaller bones set into the wall. Ahead lay a corridor. It ran straight for perhaps 20 paces, then turned left, or seemed to. The far end shifted when he looked at it too long. The walls were cut from the same black stone as the floor, without tool marks polished in places by hands or shoulders or centuries of passing dead. Thin seams of blue light ran between some stones. Others showed faint lines that might have been writing, but faded whenever his eyes tried to hold them. The air was warm. That unsettled him. He had expected cold. Everyone expected cold of death. Perhaps because the dead became cold, and the living were poor at imagining any place without making it a body. But the last house held heat. Dry, close heat. The kind of warmth that made him aware of every damp thread against his skin. It smelled of stone, ash, old pages, and something like bread. His stomach turned. Down the corridor, voices moved, not speaking to him, not to anyone. A murmur behind walls, under floors, in rooms beyond rooms. Dead voices, perhaps. Records, prayers, complaints. Last words wearing themselves thin. Orren took one step. The house noticed. He knew it at once, not because anything moved, because everything did not. The corridor held itself still. The murmurs dimmed. The blue seams narrowed. The air seemed to lean toward his breath. Living. Iren came to stand beside him, very carefully not touching. Do not sing unless you must, he said. Orren's lips parted. No sound came. He had been about to ask why. No, he had been about to test the corridor with a note. Shame moved through him. Iren looked at him sidelong. Yes. Orren glared. Stop hearing things. Stop thinking so loudly." The voices behind the walls resumed, softer than before. Orren moved forward. Every step made him more aware of his body as trespass. The floor seemed too clean for the blood he left. His bare foot made a faint print. Then the print vanished. His boot squeaked once. He winced at the noise. At the first turn they passed a doorway with no door. Inside was a room full of bowls. Thousands of them, perhaps. Small clay bowls, carved wooden bowls, metal cups, cracked basins, a child's painted dish, a sailor's tin mug, a chipped tavern bowl so much like the ones at the low beam that Orren stopped. Each vessel held something different. Water, ash, coins, teeth, a lock of hair, a spoon, a bit of bread gone hard as stone. One held a fishhook bent nearly straight, another 3 grains of barley. One near the door held nothing at all, but Orren knew somehow it had once held soup. He smelled turnip when he looked at it. Evara. He stepped toward the room. Iren said, "No, I only—" "No." Orren looked back at him. "Is she there?" "No." "How do you know?" "Because if she were stored in a bowl, this would be a shorter and much stranger story." Orren almost laughed. The sound rose and died before leaving him. Iren's face softened by a fraction. "Those are not people. They are what arrived with need still clinging to them, or after, or before. The house is particular about objects. Objects. Evara had left the seed. "Spring," she had said at the rail. A thought struck him so hard he put a hand against the doorframe. Her seed. Iren looked at him. She said she left spring behind. The room of bowls seemed to listen. A small drawer opened somewhere far away, then shut. Orren turned toward the sound. "What was that?" "The house recording your carelessness," Iren said. "That was not carelessness." "No. But anger is easier if I name it badly." Orren looked at the bowls again. Had something of Evara arrived here? The seed pouch? The burned comb? The blue string he had tied to her basket? Did death gather things left in houses? Things lost in water? Things held too tightly and not tightly enough? He saw, for one impossible breath, a narrow leather pouch on a shelf near the back. He lunged. Iren caught him around the waist and dragged him back into the corridor. The room vanished. Not closed. Vanished. Black wall where the doorway had been. Orren twisted free. It was there. What was? The seed. Perhaps. Then why stop me? Because perhaps is how the last house trains desperate men to open wrong doors. Orren struck the wall with his good fist. Pain shot through his hand. The wall did not care. "Evara," he said. The name hit the corridor. Every blue seam went black. Iren's face tightened. Quietly. Orren turned on him. "I am done being quiet." "No, you are done being powerless. You are confusing the two." The words landed too near. Orren stepped toward him. The corridor lengthened. Both of them felt it. Iren looked away first, down the hall. "The house does not like being shouted into. I do not care what it likes. It cares what you care about. That is worse." Orren breathed hard through his nose. The river water in him had cooled but not faded. It held his fear into a narrow line. Evara first. Evara before Maelin. Before father. Before seed. Before gods and road and bowls and every strange room death wanted to use to make him look aside. "Then lead," he said. Iren's eyes returned to him. "I cannot lead you once we are inside in the way you mean. You brought me here. Yes, do not start carving differences now. I carved them before you agreed. You simply stepped over the warning because it was inconveniently placed." Orren pressed both hands to his face. The left hand trembled. The right one hurt from striking the wall. His bandaged arm burned. His throat hurt. His eyes stung with the tears he did not have time to spend, he heard Maelin again. Not her song, the memory of her last word. Below, she had tried to give him the road. He had used her death to find it. He lowered his hands. Which way, then? Iren looked down the corridor, then left, then right, then, for reasons Orren could not understand, up at the smooth black ceiling. Valos knows we are here. Orren's stomach tightened. Then why hasn't he stopped us? Good question. Iren, I hate good questions. Answer. The road wing touched one hand to the wall. The stone did not open for him. Orren saw his face change. Only for a breath, but enough. You cannot open it, Orren said. Not that one. What does that mean? It means the house is deciding where we are allowed to go. I thought you opened roads. So did I once. Youth is embarrassing. The wall to their left breathed. Orren stared. The black stone drew inward, grain by grain, until a passage opened where no seam had been. Cool air moved out, carrying the sound of distant water and a single voice singing under many. Volos. Orren stepped toward it. Iren caught his shoulder. This time, Orren did not pull away. Listen to me, Iren said. There was no joke in him now, no boyishness, no door left open in the tone. You will want to make this into a song, a challenge, a performance. Do not. This is his house. He is not a tavern room. He is not a prince with soft hands. He is not a beast at a gate who can be reminded of mercy. He is law down here, and law does not become kinder because you bleed beautifully on it. Orren stared into the passage. Evara was somewhere beyond the song. I know. No, you know the words. That is not the same as knowing the thing. Orren looked at him then. What would you have me do? Ask. The word came plain, too plain. Orren almost laughed. All this way to ask? Yes, I came to take her home. That is why you must ask. The passage waited. The house listened. Orren thought of Evara in the field. You found one, and made room for me inside it. Evara on the ship. I don't want to be moved, without knowing I chose to move. Evara in water, behind him. He had asked her to follow. He had not looked enough to know when she stopped. His hands curled. I will ask, he said. Iren studied him. Orren hated that the god did not seem comforted. They entered the new passage. It sloped gently downward at first, then upward without changing direction. Orren stopped once, disoriented, but Iren pushed him lightly between the shoulder blades. Do not argue with house geometry, Iren said. It has tenure. Orren did not answer. The passage walls were less smooth here. Marks appeared in the stone as they walked. Some looked like letters, some like scars. Once he saw a line that resembled the curve of Evara's name, and his hand lifted toward it. Iren said nothing. Orren lowered his hand. The line vanished. Good. He could learn. He could learn quickly enough to save her. The song grew clearer. Volos's voice was not beautiful the way Orren understood beauty. It was too deep for that, too wide. It carried other voices inside it, the way the river carried names. It did not reach for him. It held what it already had. That was worse than seduction, a voice that did not need him. They came at last to a narrow balcony overlooking a lower chamber. Iren stopped in the shadow before Orren could step into sight. Below, blue fire burned. Orren saw the chamber in pieces. Black columns, shelves with thousands of drawers, a table set for no meal, a high, dark chair, another chair carved with leaves and standing empty in shadow. And beside the fire, Evara. She stood with her back partly turned, one hand bandaged, the other resting on the arm of a black chair, as if she had just risen from it. Her hair had dried in pale, uneven strands around her face. Her torn dress had been covered by a dark mantle that did not belong to Skeldrun, plain but warm-looking. She was paler than he remembered, Or perhaps the blue fire made everyone look already half memory. Alive. No, dead. There. The word that mattered most was there. Orren's hand closed around the balcony rail. His knees nearly gave. Evara turned. Not fully. Her head lifted first, as if she had heard him breathe. Across the distance, through blue fire and death's chamber, her eyes found his shadow. For one moment, no god, no house, no river, no mother, no monster, no bargain existed. Only Evara seeing him, her mouth parted, not a smile, not relief. Something too complicated to survive naming. Then the blue fire lowered. Volos's song stopped. The lord below turned his head toward the balcony. "Iren," he said. The road wing sighed beside Orren. "Yes," Iren murmured. "That is about how I hoped this would not go."
Rain on the sill, salt in the flame. When the door goes quiet and the room lets go, lay the last word gently where the dark runs slow.
There is still a road under ash, under rain. There is still a voice trying not to break. Carry the song through the dark and the foam. Carry the name when the cold calls home. Leave one small light where the lost can remain. I will find you by listening. You will know me by name.
Rain on the sill,
Salt in the flame. The door goes quiet. Carry